Humanity missed its golden opportunity, which was in the 70s and early 80s, to expand the space industry because there was so much interest, so much capital ready to be deployed to that industry. So what happened is that delay and us missing that window of opportunity, now when you look at capital's attraction or interest, they look at everything. Running Celestial Ventures, we invest in space startups. Everybody looks at the window of time and the return of your ROI. And there are so many, since 1980, you got personal computers, then you had the internet, then you have where we are today. So space now, it's woken up from the 70s, flash forward now and says, guys, provide us capital. But now capital has so many other attractants which have shorter timelines. So now space comes along and says, hey, I've got a 10, 15, 20-year timeline for you. And it's like, okay, well, why am I going to deploy X amount of dollars and get that money back in 10, 15 years? Or I can just get that in 3 to 5 years, investing in a new Instagram or new this or new that. So the challenge for the space industry is that it waited a little too long. And now it's coming back and it's trying to be, it's trying to get that sizzle back or its mojo back. However, there's way too many other opportunities for capital deployment. And that's one of the big struggles. Now, I'm not saying that we have a solution for that problem, but I'm saying at least we need to identify the problem. And that is the biggest one. The timelines are too long and the opportunities for capital deployment are too great and too varied for space to be the darling that it was in the 70s. I want to add a point. We have to think outside the box. While iterative patterning, which is what 3D printing facilitates, what we will need is to do something out of the box. As an example, if you take particular branches of mushrooms and DNA tweak them, you can change their texture and structure where you can grow them to be larger and then cut out bricks from them to create your construction material. And all you have to take from Earth is spores. Instead of heavy lifting, because Earth's gravity well is quite profound, instead of even heavy lifting all that, the XYZ axis infrastructure for a 3D printer, you can actually just have the mushrooms be not only a source of food, but another type of mushroom be the source of the building material, which you can cut and create the bricks in order to facilitate probably sealing of the tunnels, if there are any on the moon, in order to facilitate living underground. Living on top of the ground offers you so many obstacles to deal with that it would be better for us to become cavemen again, rather than for us to have the adventurism of being on top of the land. And that puts us at significant risk, which we can reduce if we go underground and seal up a portion of the tunnel, heat it up, get the food, put the aquaculture, and start the process of our growth over there. It's hard enough as is. We're going to need to learn to simplify things rather than complicate things based on Earth dynamics. New out of the box thinking will facilitate that permanency that we all desperately are seeking. First of all, our big problem right now is if Queen Isabella would accurately and right-size the funding for us to get to the new world, then we would actually be able to get to the point of having this lunar economy being built, right? So that's our first challenge. Second challenge is the brute forcing of humanity's permanent or at least semi-permanent existence on another terrestriality, which has never been done. So we've got so many obstacles that people don't understand something. Here's what happened. 50, 60 years ago, we had a space industry that was brought upon by a military endeavor. And it extended all the way to the point of planting a flag and then retreating to say, okay, we've taken this hill, now we go backwards. There was no consideration for an economy being built that far out. Now, when the space industry became lackadaisical in its effect, what happened is Hollywood picked up the baton. When Hollywood picked up the baton, they could go as far as the Orion Belt and give you starships and give you everything. So there's been a couple of generations of us raised in thinking space is so sexy and we're going to go from space shuttle straight to the Death Star. So the challenge there is that there's expectations are way too high, and the reality of space is way too hard. And in there, if you cake in, I'm not saying we don't need ethical considerations, but if you cake in too much of that up front, then you're already limiting what is already a mission impossible. So I think ethical standards and concerns are highly warranted, but they should be placed in consideration of how difficult lies our task vis-a-vis what's happened to the psyche of humanity over the last 40 years, where Star Trek and Star Wars has given us this illusion of space being an easy slip into the heavens, rather than what it really is, which is the greatest yet the most difficult journey humanity will engage in.